Hey, this is Epicenter NYC. We connect our communities to news, information, and each other. I'm your host, Amber Castillo. As we inch closer to 2024, we're taking a moment to look back at some of our favorite stories and projects from the past year. These aren't just headlines. They're the heartbeats of our city, narratives that have brought us together, challenged our perceptions, and celebrated our diversity. To start, here's S. Mitra Kalita, founder and publisher of Epicenter NYC.
My favorite 2023 memory was Epicenter's tour of the Bound House, which we hosted with the Underground Railroad Consortium of New York. Archivists recently discovered this house in Flushing was a stop for formerly enslaved people seeking their freedom. What I loved about our event was the diversity of the group and their grasp of African American history forced a new framework for this landmark, and it also created a more expansive discourse. Paperwork only represents one aspect of historic truth. I appreciated the audience asking questions about Quakers' real record on slavery and the role that free Black New Yorkers played as well. This event was an example of Epicenter journalism at its finest. We partnered with an amazing community institution to tell its story, but we also held it accountable, and we recentered whose stories and perspectives we are telling.
I'm Nitin Mukul, the creative director and co-founder of Epicenter. Looking back on this year, there were some great moments when Epicenter and my art practice crossed paths. Curating Ground Games, a group exhibition of Epicenter Artists of the Week, was really gratifying. One great thing about curating from our archive of submissions is that it crosses so many typical boundaries, like age, institutional accreditation, industry connections, and just focuses on the work. I helped commission a large-scale mural by featured artist Zihan Wazed in Diversity Plaza, a Jackson Heights public space where I volunteered since it was formed in 2012. This was a transformative artwork for the community. Finally, the New York Foundation for the Arts granted me an award for paintings on green space inequity and the link to discriminatory urban planning. This helped me remain committed to the intersection of the arts and social engagement that I'm going to carry forward into 2024.
Hi, I'm Carolina Valencia, Director of Partnerships and Communications at Epicenter, which means I connect brands and partners with our audience, connect our neighbors to resources, grow our footprint, and amplify the work that we do. I'm going for extra credit because I must highlight two events. To say we tell stories from within our communities, that we serve the very people we represent and connect people to each other doesn't do it justice. We exemplify this at every touch point, and our Disruptors events in Houston and in New York City were no exception. In Houston, it was inspiring to hear the Defender Network's Sunny Messiah Giles talk about the steps she took to buy the paper, despite being told she had 3 strikes for being Black, a woman, and single. She called it creative financing, and indeed it was. And in New York City, Lloyd's Carrot Cake, Brandon Adams shared something that resonated. Being seen for the quality of our work. And in his case, for the quality of their carrot cakes, and not just the fact that they're Black owned. And bonus was Epicenter breaking the news that the New York City Council approved a Bronx Street co-naming in honor of Lloyd's Carrot Cake founders, Brandon Adams' parents, Betty and Lloyd Adams. The street would be co-named Betty and Lloyd Adams Way. Both events were filled with an engaged and diverse group of people who not only felt heard and represented, but got to share their own stories and make meaningful connections. And that is exactly what Epicenter is all about.
Hey, happy holidays, everyone. This is Daniela Plaza, Epicenter's community manager. As part of our small business study, I spoke with dozens of entrepreneurs all over the city. Many people generously shared their challenges and triumphs, and a few even shared their life stories. For example, Marvin, the 85-year-old owner of Rudy's Hobby and Art, used to deliver for UPS before taking over what used to be an ice cream parlor. Brittany and Christian, the co-founders of Knows Best Candles, invested their COVID-19 stimulus checks to start their business. Lucy, the owner of You and Me Books, is a chemical engineer and now runs NYC's first Asian American female-run bookstore. I am grateful for these new relationships and can't wait to visit their shops again.
Hello, my name is Adriana Proano, and I am the community coordinator for Epicenter NYC. I have to say that I am taking so many good memories and experiences with me this year, but my favorite one is one that will forever live in my mind and my heart, and is when we won the Lion Publishers Public Service Award for COVID-19 vaccine efforts. I was overwhelmed with joy, and I can't wait to see Epicenter succeed this 2024.
My name is Janelle Zagala, and I'm the operations manager at Epicenter. My favorite memory from this year was our recent Epicenter holiday party. This night was truly emblematic of who we are as we gathered our members, volunteers, staff, sources, clients, and even some elected officials. It was so special to reflect and celebrate the tremendous year we've had alongside the people who made it possible.
My name is Nicole Perino, and I'm the author of The Unmuted. It's too hard to decide on one memory, so I'll share two. When I think of Epicenter, I think of community. So immediately an event I hosted that Epicenter participated in comes to mind. Seeing the team interact with families reminded me of why I love being a part of the Epicenter family. Somehow managing to build community while battling a lanternfly park infestation. On a more personal memory, I would say celebrating my last birthday with everyone. It happened to fall on the day of our team retreat. And Mitra's really brought some amazing people together that I enjoy spending time with, not only professionally, but on a personal level as well. Looking forward to more memories in 2024.
This is Suryan So, and I am a senior advisor at Epicenter. My top 2023 Epicenter memory has got to be the Queens Night Market and Think Chinatown event at Queens Museum, along with the Citizens Bank report that we released. There was just so much emotion and so much compassion in the room as the food vendors and operators talked about their highs and lows of being an entrepreneur and barely making it through the pandemic, but surviving and thriving. And I just think that this feeling of connection that was in the room that night is just such a distinctly Epicenter feeling. And it's just so powerful. So that's my top memory from the year.
Hi, I'm Danielle Hyams, Epicenter's community manager. I'm going to take you guys back a few years. The pandemic had just hit and I was newly laid off from an internship when a former editor called me. A friend of mine, he said, a senior media exec, is interested in starting a community-oriented journalism project. She's looking for someone who lives in Queens. Are you interested? Flash forward nearly 4 years. I'm still here and Epicenter is thriving. We're growing. This year alone, we hired a director of communications, an experienced community reporter, and a senior consultant. Like so, the impact we're able to have on our community has grown immensely. Our success in getting people vaccinated for COVID led us to do similar work when Mpox cases rose. We've supported and featured the work of roughly 200 local artists. Last month, we authored a report about how night markets are new incubators for New York City's entrepreneurs. We gathered as a team and ate Peruvian food in Jackson Heights. We won an award for a podcast we produced on the importance of drag story hours in New York City and what actually happens inside them. It's hard for me to single out one memory when Epicenter is so multifaceted and does so much. Instead, I'll cheers to a great year, knowing that even more exciting growth and impact is on the horizon.
Before we wrap up, here's my favorite moment from 2023. And it starts on my way to join colleagues at my first ever Epicenter events and starting as a community reporter. It's one of those Sundays that remind you in their full sunny glory that it's still summer, it's still spotted lanternfly season, and the city is in the thick of its 50th anniversary of hip-hop. I had triple busted to the Bronx. Our colleague Nicole from The Unmuted had told us about this hip-hop anniversary event at Ferry Point Park. So a bunch of us are going to go and get to know the community there and distribute crayons and summer supplies to families. On the walk over, I start talking with this hip-hop head at a little league game I passed by. He just lights up when I tell him about the event, starts recalling how he used to DJ. Then this other guy with a baseball cap and this very purple shirt approaches us. He turns out to be my new colleague, Danny, I'm meeting for the first time. And we all start chatting like old friends. Danny starts hugging this guy we just met with consent, of course. It feels like pre-COVID times, and it feels like we're single-handedly tackling the whole New Yorkers are not nice myth. And it's the beginning of a series of serendipitous moments of connection that day. One where we find a Bengali community celebration that is so loud and proud alongside Black and Latino Bronxites at the hip-hop event. One where we meet the owners of small businesses like Pink Princess Nails, which we've since featured in a small business spotlight. One where Dani and our colleague Adriana and I learned so much about the needs of families who walk over to her table and the folks we stop to chat with in the park and walking along the river. And one where we have this whole team effort going on with everyone around us. We're all jumping on and cursing out spotted lanternflies, exchanging looks and laughters with people who speak all different languages during our rounds of vengeance. And it's this palpable moment where even in the fight against these insects that are flying into our hair, our food, our epicenter flyers, we found this larger sense of community. That's all for today. Thanks for listening and thanks for supporting us as we do our best to support our community. We couldn't do it without you. For more stories like this, make sure to subscribe to our newsletter at epicenter-nyc.com. Our intro music is All the Pretty Horses by Karavika. You can find more of their music on their website linked to in our podcast description.